Have you ever assumed that simply walking more is the ultimate key to staying healthy after 70, only to discover you're feeling weaker, stiffer, or less steady on your feet? It's a common belief that walking is sufficient to keep aging at bay. But what if doctors are now suggesting that, as a sole activity, it might actually accelerate the aging process? The truth is, beyond 70, your body demands more than just steps to maintain strength, mobility, and independence. We're about to reveal 5 crucial priorities you should focus on instead of Circumflex Euro's simple adjustments that can safeguard your muscles, joints, and balance, perhaps even adding years to your life. Stick around until the end because the final tip is a hidden gem, rarely discussed, yet potentially the secret to your longevity. And while you're here, consider exploring more of our content. We're constantly sharing valuable updates, so stay tuned. First, strength training to preserve muscle mass. Walking is a wonderful way to keep your body active and maintain a basic level of mobility. However, if it's your only form of exercise, you could unknowingly be setting the stage for a significant problem, muscle loss. As we age, particularly beyond 70, a condition called sarcopenia circumflexuris, the gradual, age-related decline in muscle mass and strength circumflexuris, becomes a major threat to our ability to live independently. Sarcopenia isn't just a minor inconvenience. It can diminish your ability to perform everyday tasks, increase your risk of falls, and ultimately reduce your quality of life. The issue with walking is that, while it's excellent for cardiovascular health and keeping your legs active, it doesn't provide the stimulus your muscles need to grow or even maintain their strength. It primarily targets the low body circumflexuris, your calves, quads, and hamstrings circumflexuris, and even then, it's a low-intensity activity that lacks the resistance necessary to effectively challenge your muscles. This is why medical experts are increasingly emphasizing the importance of strength training, especially for individuals over 70. Unlike walking, strength training directly combats sarcopenia by building and preserving muscle mass, enhancing balance, and ensuring you possess the physical power to remain safe and self-sufficient. Imagine the small, everyday victories that indicate your muscles are still in good shape, carrying a heavy bag of groceries from the car to the kitchen without straining, rising from a chair without needing to push off with your hands, or twisting open a stubborn jar lid without a second thought. If those tasks still feel manageable, that's a promising sign your muscle strength is holding steady. But if you've started to notice a creeping difficulty circumflexuris, perhaps you hesitate before standing up, or you avoid lifting anything heavier than a few pounds circumflexuris, it's a subtle alarm bell that your muscles might be weakening, even if the change has been so gradual you haven't fully recognized it yet. The reality is stark. If you don't actively work to maintain or build your muscle strength, your body will lose it over time. It's not just a possibility, it's a biological certainty. Consider someone like Robert, a 74-year-old retiree who believed he was doing everything right. He walked briskly every morning, clocking a couple of miles around his neighborhood, convinced that this routine was enough to keep him fit and healthy. But one afternoon, while unpacking some supplies, he struggled to lift a box onto a shelf circumflexuris, a box that, just a couple of years earlier, would have felt like nothing. Later that week, he noticed that getting up from his favorite armchair required more effort. He had to rock forward and use his arms for leverage. At first, Robert chalked it up to just getting older, a vague, catch-all excuse for physical decline. But when he mentioned it to his doctor during a routine checkup, the explanation was clear: his muscles were shrinking, and walking alone wasn't enough to stop it. Muscle loss doesn't just happen, it accelerates when you don't give your body a reason to hold onto the strength. Determined to turn things around, Robert started incorporating simple strength exercises into his daily life. He didn't join a gym or invest in a rack of heavy barbells. Instead, he began with accessible tools, light resistance bands he could loop around his legs or arms, bodyweight squats he practiced in his living room, and a pair of modest dumbbells he kept by his desk. He started small circumflexuris 10 minutes a day, 3 times a week circumflexuris, and within a few months, the difference was undeniable. He could lift that box with confidence again, stand up from the couch without a second thought, and even felt a surge of energy that made his walks more enjoyable. Strength training isn't about becoming a bodybuilder or pushing yourself to extremes. It can be as straightforward as using resistance bands to do seated leg presses, performing wall push-ups against your kitchen counter, or lifting a couple of soup cans while watching TV. The secret lies in progressive resistance, gradually challenging your muscles just beyond the comfort zone to keep them active, engaged, and growing. And the payoffs extend far beyond just feeling stronger. Research consistently shows that maintaining muscle mass is tied to a longer life expectancy, improved mobility, sharper cognitive function, and a lower risk of chronic conditions like diabetes or osteoporosis. Want a quick way to gauge your current strength? Try the simple test. Sit down in a chair and stand up without using your hands for support. If you can do it smoothly, you're in a solid place. If you wobble, strain, or can't manage it at all, it's a signal that your muscle strength needs attention, and soon. Here's the best part: it's never too late to start. Studies have shown that even people in their 80s and 90s can reverse muscle loss, rebuild strength, and regain stability with consistent effort. So, if you're someone who's been banking solely on walking to stay fit, let this be your wake-up call. Muscle is your body's armor against aging, and after 70, it's one of the most precious assets you can protect. 2. Balance and stability exercises to prevent falls and stay steady. Walking keeps you mobile and gets you from point A to point B, but here's a critical detail most people overlook: it doesn't do much to improve your balance. You might assume that because you're upright and moving, your balance is automatically in good shape, but that's a misconception that can catch you off guard. After 70, preventing falls becomes one of the most crucial elements of staying healthy, active, and independent. Falls aren't just minor mishaps. They're one of the leading causes of serious injuries among older adults, often leading to fractures, hospitalizations, and long-term setbacks. And here's the kicker: many falls don't happen because your legs are too weak to hold you up. They happen because your balance a circumflexuris, the intricate coordination of your muscles, joints, and nervous system a circumflexuris, is quietly slipped out of tune. If you're not actively training your balance, you could be increasing your risk of stumbles, trips, or full-on falls without even realizing it. You might think, I've been walking my whole life, so my balance must be fine, but balance isn't a skill that stays sharp on its own. Like muscle strength, it fades gradually unless you nurture it with intention. Walking engages your legs in a repetitive forward motion, but it doesn't challenge the smallest stabilizing muscles in your feet, ankles, hips, and core a circumflexuris, the ones that keep you steady when life throws a curveball, like a slick patch of pavement or an unexpected step. Without that targeted work, a tiny misstep can spiral into a fall that sidelines you for months or even permanently alters your lifestyle. Reflect on this for a moment. When was the last time you stood on one leg to slip on a shoe, reached up to grab something from a high shelf, or navigated a cluttered room? Did you feel rock solid, or did you catch yourself wobbling, bracing against a wall, or second-guessing your next move? Many people don't notice their balance declining until they have a close call, a circumflexuris, a heart-pounding moment that leaves them rattled and hyper-aware of every step they take. That's exactly what happened to Edward, a 76-year-old who prided himself on staying active. He walked his dog daily, tended his garden, and rarely sat still. But one day, as he stepped off a cub while chatting with a neighbour, his foot landed awkwardly, and he felt his body tip precariously. He managed to catch himself by grabbing a nearby signpost, but the near miss shook him. His confidence took a hit, and he started wondering how something so routine could suddenly feel so risky. When Edward brought it up with his doctor, the advice was straightforward: his balance needed work, and walking alone wasn't cutting it. The doctor recommended simple balance exercises, standing on one foot while brushing his teeth, shifting his weight from side to side, or practicing slow, deliberate steps heel to toe in a straight line. Edward started small, doing these drills for a few minutes each day, often near a counter or chair for safety. Within a few weeks, he felt a shift. His steps grew surer, his posture straightened, and that shaky feeling faded. He even noticed he could pivot to chase his dog without hesitation. Balance exercises don't demand fancy equipment or gym membership. You can do them anywhere. Try standing on one leg while waiting for the kettle to boil, walking a pretend tightrope across your living room, or holding a tree pose like a yoga newbie. The benefits ripple outward. Stronger balance means fewer falls. Yes, but it also translates to better posture, quicker reflexes, and smoother coordination, making every movement feel more natural and controlled. Want to check your balance right now? Here's a quick test. Stand near a counter or wall for safety. Lift one foot off the ground and see if you can hold steady for at least 10 seconds without swinging or grabbing for support. If you can, you're in decent shape. If not, it's time to start building that stability back up. Falls don't have to be an inevitable part of aging. Balance training can keep you steady and independent for years to come. 3. Flexibility and mobility exercises to keep joints healthy. Walking is a fantastic way to keep your legs active and your heart pumping, but it falls short when it comes to maintaining flexibility. Circumflexuris is an aspect of physical health that becomes vital after the age of 70. As the years go by, your body undergoes natural changes, joints stiffen, muscles shorten, and your range of motion gradually narrows. Movements that once felt second nature, a circumflexuris like twisting to look over your shoulder, squatting to pick something up, or even reaching overhead, a circumflexuris can start to feel restricted or uncomfortable. If you've ever caught yourself hesitating before bending down to tie your shoes, or noticed that turning your head to check your blind spot while driving feels tighter than it used to, these are subtle but telling signs that your flexibility is quietly slipping away. The stakes are higher than most people realize. When flexibility and mobility decline, it's not just about minor inconveniences, it's about your independence. Losing the ability to move freely can transform simple daily tasks a circumflexurus getting out of a chair, stepping into the bathtub, or reaching for a high shelf a circumflexurus into challenges that erode your confidence and autonomy. The problem is, many people don't fully appreciate the importance of flexibility until it's already fading. Walking, while excellent for endurance, doesn't stretch your muscles through their full range or engage the diverse movement patterns your joints need to stay limber and functional. That's why medical experts now stress that after 70, dedicating intentional time to flexibility and mobility exercises is just as critical as staying active in general. These exercises are the key to preserving your ability to move without pain or limitation, ensuring you can continue living life on your terms. Picture this. When was the last time you reached into the backseat of your car to grab something, or pulled a sweater over your head? Did the motion feel fluid and natural, or did you notice a twinge of stiffness, a slight catch in your shoulder, or a tug in your back? Too often, people brush off these small signals as just part of getting older, but that's not the full story. What's happening is a gradual tightening of muscles, tendons, and ligaments, coupled with a reduction in the synovial fluid that lubricates your joints. Over time, this process chips away at your flexibility bit by bit until everyday movements become noticeably harder. Take Walter, for example, a 78-year-old who'd always prided himself on his daily walks. He stayed active, but he began to notice that rolling out of bed each morning felt stiffer than it once did. Reaching down to pick up a drop sock required more effort, and he found himself bending his knees awkwardly to compensate for a tighter back and hips. Concerned, Walter visited his doctor, who explained that this wasn't just an inevitable consequence of aging, it was a sign that his joints weren't being used to their full capacity. Walking kept his legs moving, but it didn't address the flexibility of his hips, shoulders, or spine. The doctor recommended a simple routine of gentle stretching and mobility exercises, and Walter decided to give it a try. He started with dynamic stretches like arm circles and leg swings, added controlled movements like side bends and hip rotations, and even incorporated a few yoga-inspired poses tailored for seniors. Within just a few weeks, he felt a remarkable difference. His joints moved more smoothly, his morning stiffness eased, and he even stood a little taller. His posture visibly improved. Flexibility exercises don't have to be intimidating or time-consuming. Think neck rolls to loosen the tight upper back, shoulder shrugs to release tension, knee to chest stretches to open up the hips, or ankle circles to keep your feet nimble. These small actions help maintain joint lubrication, reduce stiffness, and restore ease to your movements. The rewards of prioritizing flexibility extend far beyond just feeling less creaky. Improved range of motion translates to fewer nagging aches, better blood flow to muscles and joints, stronger posture, and a significantly reduced risk of falls. A circumflexure is a major concern as we age. Want to check your flexibility? Try the simple tests. Stand up straight, feet shoulder width apart, and slowly turn your head as far as you can to the right, then to the left. Does the motion feel smooth and unrestricted, or do you encounter tightness or discomfort? If you sense any resistance, it's a clear indicator that your flexibility could use some attention. The good news is that mobility loss isn't a done deal, it's something you can actively combat. With just 10 to 15 minutes a day of focused stretching or mobility work, you can keep your body feeling youthful, agile, and free of pain well into your later years. So, if walking has been your go-to exercise, it's time to complement it with flexibility training. Keeping your joints loose and your movements fluid is one of the most powerful ways to safeguard your independence and vitality after 70. 4. Core and posture exercises to protect your spine. Walking may keep your legs in motion and your cardiovascular system humming, but it doesn't do much to strengthen your core or maintain proper posture. A circumflexure is two elements that become increasingly essential after 70. A strong core isn't about sculpting a six-pack or looking good at the beach, it's about building a foundation of stability that supports your entire body. Your core muscles, including the deep abdominals, obliques, and lower back, work together to keep your spine aligned, your balance steady, and your movements controlled. Without this internal support, you might start noticing nagging low back pain, difficulty standing tall, or a tendency to slump forward when you walk. A circumflexures, all of which can snowball into bigger issues like chronic discomfort, joint stress, or an elevated risk of falling. Unfortunately, the importance of core strength and posture often flies under the radar until problems emerge. If you've caught yourself slouching more than usual, felt a stiffness in your lower back after sitting or standing too long, or struggle to hold yourself upright during a long conversation, these are red flags that your core isn't pulling its weight. Walking engages your legs and gets your blood flowing, but it doesn't fully activate the deep, stabilizing muscles that wrap around your midsection and anchor your spine. That's why healthcare professionals now emphasize that after 70, incorporating core and posture exercises into your routine is non-negotiable. It's what keeps you moving confidently and comfortably, free from the aches and imbalances that can creep in with age. Consider Harold, a 75-year-old who had always been active, walking a mile or two every day without fail. Despite his commitment, he began to notice changes. His shoulders were rounding forward, his lower back felt tight and achy, and he couldn't stand for long without wanting to sit down. At first, he chalked it up to the natural wear and tear of aging, but his doctor had a different take. She pointed out that years of neglecting core strength had allowed his posture to deteriorate, putting extra strain on his spine and joints. This misalignment was the root of his discomfort and even increased his risk of losing balance. Determined to turn things around, Harold started a gentle core focused routine, seated pelvic tilts to engage his lower abs, standing posture resets to realign his spine, and abdominal bracing exercises to wake up those deep stabilizing muscles. Within a few weeks, the results were striking. His back pain faded, he stood straighter without effort, and even his breathing felt deeper and easier, a circumflex, a bonus he hadn't expected. The beauty of core exercises is their simplicity. You don't need a gym membership or fancy equipment. Try standing tall against a wall to retrain your posture, gently engaging your lower abs while seated to build stability, or practicing slow torso twists to strengthen your midsection without strain. These small, intentional movements activate the muscles that keep your spine supported and your body balanced. The benefits ripple outward in surprising ways. A stronger core doesn't just mean better posture, it translates to improved balance, less pressure on your hips and knees, and even better digestion, since your abdominal muscles help support your internal organs. Curious about your core strength? Here's a quick test. Stand with your back flat against a wall, pressing your head, shoulders, and hips into the surface. Can you hold this position comfortably for 30 seconds, or does it feel forced and unnatural? If it's a struggle, it's a sign your core and posture need some TLC. The sooner you start, the better. Building that strength now can prevent injuries, maintain your mobility, and even keep you looking taller and more youthful. If walking had been your sole focus, it's time to shift some attention to the muscles that truly hold you upright and keep you strong. 5. Joint protection and low-impact movements to reduce strain. Walking is a cornerstone of staying active, and for good reason. It's accessible, heart-healthy, and keeps you moving. But if it's the only type of exercise you rely on, especially after 70, it can start to take a toll on your joints in ways you might not expect. As we age, our bodies change, cartilage thins out, joint fluid diminishes, and the natural shock-absorbing cushioning in places like your knees, hips, and ankles becomes less effective. This gradual wear can lead to telltale signs: stiff knees after a long stroll, creaky hips when you stand up, or a lingering ache in your feet that even lifelong walkers aren't immune to. The issue isn't walking itself, it's that walking alone doesn't provide the full spectrum of support your joints need to stay healthy and resilient. Too many people assume that joint discomfort is just an unavoidable part of getting older, but that's only half the truth. Stiffness, soreness, and reduced mobility often accelerate when you're not actively nurturing your joints with varied, protective movements. Walking, while low impact compared to running, still involves repetitive stress on the same joints, step after step, day after day. Without balancing it with exercises that strengthen and cushion those areas, you might unintentionally speed up wear and tear. That's why experts now urge people over 70 to rethink their approach. A circumflex maybe even walk less if it's causing strain. A circumflex and focus more on low-impact movements designed to protect and preserve joint health. Reflect for a moment after your last walk. Did you feel refreshed and pain-free, or did you notice a subtle ache in your knees, a tightness in your hips, or a heaviness in your legs? If the latter rings true, it's a signal that your joints are asking for more care. Take Raymond, a 77-year-old who swore by his daily walks as the secret to staying fit. For years, it worked a circumflex until it didn't. Over time, he started waking up with stiff knees, and his lower back grumbled after every outing. Puzzled, he consulted his doctor, who explained that the repetitive impact of walking was outpacing his joints' ability to recover. The solution wasn't to stop moving, it was to diversify. Raymond cut back on long walks and introduced low-impact alternatives: gentle swimming to ease joint pressure, stationary cycling to keep his legs active at strain, and chair-based stretches to maintain flexibility. Within weeks, his knee stiffness faded, his back pain lifted, and he felt more comfortable in his own body, a circumflex all without sacrificing his active lifestyle. Joint-friendly activities like water aerobics, tai chi, or even seated leg lifts don't just reduce strain, they actively nourish your joints. They boost blood flow to cartilage, enhance lubrication with synovial fluid, and strengthen the muscles that cradle your knees, hips, and ankles, they circumflex yours, all without jarring impacts. The payoff is substantial: less pain, smoother movement, and a foundation of mobility that keeps you independent for years to come. Want to gauge your joint health? Try this test. Sit in a chair and stand up slowly without using your hands for support. Pay attention to your knees and hips. Do they glide effortlessly, or do you feel stiffness, creaking, or discomfort? If there's any resistance, your joints are signaling they need more than just walking to thrive. Protecting your joints isn't just about dodging pain, it's about preserving the freedom to move with ease, whether that's climbing stairs, gardening, or playing with grandkids. If walking has been your mainstay, it's time to broaden your horizons with movements that heal rather than harm. A little intentional variety now can ensure every step you take feels light and effortless, not laboured or painful. Well, there you have it, 5 powerful priorities to rethink how you stay active and healthy after 70. Walking might be a great start, but it's these key areas they circumflex your strength, balance, flexibility, core stability, and joint protection they circumflex yours that truly hold the secret to aging well and staying independent. As we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. What have you learned so far? Take a moment to reflect. Which of these insights surprised you the most? Your thoughts mean the world to us and inspire us to keep going. Thanks for watching, and we can't wait to share more valuable content with you soon.